I was ministering in Calabar on Sunday. Prepared myself and I came on the platform. And I began to speak. After 10 minutes, an unction came upon me. And the moment it came on me, I became completely weak, as if energy left my body. The way people are slain, that would have fallen on the altar. So what naturally would happen to those listening to me began to happen to me. And my legs became heavy. I couldn't move. I said, what's going on? I held the pulpit. I almost fell on the altar. I leaned on my knee. What is happening to me? What is happening? And a brother saw a vision. He saw that the Lord Jesus came out of the wall and entered me. And when he entered me, he took my old nature and carried it with him. Instantly, energy left me. And for 4 days, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I just lie on the bed. I stand up in the morning. I can't stand. In that meeting, when it happened, I had to hold my brother. And I said, demons, go. Demons, go. I couldn't even pray for the sick. Meanwhile, over 40 persons were healed instantly. Growth vanishing from their bodies, all kinds of things happening. But what happened in the meeting was another layer of the God on my inside decided to manifest. And for more than 1 week, I've not understood it. So for me to understand and interpret the secret of my next level, I need to know what has happened to me. Because life in this realm is your ability to know the movements of the spirit on your inside. You know, when we talk power in our generation, it has been reduced to psychology. There is a depth in God you will journey to. You will become a God in the realm of demons. And when you see sick people, the moment you come, they know. They say, Jesus we know, Paul we know. It's not psychology. You enter, as you enter a place, demons on their own will recognize where you are coming from. But you see, because we lack power, we can't do anything that has to do with divine agenda. It's psychology. How many people can you manipulate? How many people? Even if you succeed in manipulating people in your locality, it's your ministry to your locality alone. What do you now do when you interact with people of different culture? Your ministry will end. The only thing that defies every contrary force is power. Let me do a teaching. If I continue like this, I mean, Luke chapter 14 verse 23. Jaffa wants me to talk on the compelling power. So let's calm down. 5 minutes to the end of the meeting, he said, and the Lord said unto the servant. Now Jesus was telling them a parable. He had prepared a banquet, and then he had invited the nobles. But you see, the nobles failed to come. See, that's what happens when the move of God begins. When the move of God begins, most times, some people think they are qualified. They know the atmosphere. They know the doctrine. They know the exegesis. So they sit down as the nobles. So they cannot interpret the strange things that God is doing. They want to judge spiritual occurrences from their mind, and it disqualifies them. When Jesus invited the nobles, they refused to show up. Did you not read in scriptures? The Sanhedrin had been watching the prophecy of Isaiah for 800 years. But when Jesus came, they did not see him. They were disqualified. They are the nobles. They refused to show up. They gave flimsy excuses. And Jesus now said, okay, since the nobles can't come, go to the street. And then they invited people from the street. Yet there was still room. Because the move of God is bogus enough to accommodate every one of us. In the day of the move of God, there's no room for jealousy. Because the usher will raise the dead. The pastor will be talking. The guy at the door will raise cripples. And it's not a strange thing. Everybody becomes a carrier of Jesus Christ in ever increasing intensity. So there was room. And because of the excess room that was available, he now said, go into the highway and compel them to come into the banquet. The word is anakazo. It is a kind of power that defies cultural difference. It's a kind of power that undermines intellectual prowess. It's a dimension of power that has no regard for age difference. So you may see a boy of 15 years, and when an akazo comes upon him, he will come to the street corner and he will cry. And even the elder and the young, regardless of demographic, will journey there. He said when God came upon John, he didn't go to the synagogue. If he went to the synagogue, naturally he will meet people that fear God. He went into the wilderness, and right there in the wilderness, all he did was cry. And suddenly he said the whole of Jerusalem and Judea went to him. It's called power evangelism. If there is no power, we are talking, we are gisting, we are joking. We cannot contend with the spirits of the age. We cannot contend with the territorial spirits. We cannot bring deliverance unto Jacob until a power comes upon us. This is beyond psychology. Psychology, we work for a group of people per time, but it cannot affect everybody. When you hear that the whole of Jerusalem and Judea went to him, there was something at work in his life. It's called an akazo. That's why when I want to move in the spirit, I say off every sound. If it's not working, it's not working. Because people can hear sound and fall down. How about the man who is deaf? The compelling power. In Psalm 66 verse 3, it says, say unto the Lord, how terrible are thy works. That's the kind of power we are talking about. It said, through the greatness of thy power, thy enemies submit themselves to you. They were not advised, they won't hear it. They were not motivated, they won't hear it. They were not manipulated, they won't hear it. The only thing that will cause them to come on their knee and to worship him before the cross is through the greatness of his power. He said, through the magnitude of thy power, thy enemies had no choice. See, they tried other alternatives, it didn't work. When God begins to move, they come with gossip, and then the power is too strong, and then you graduate from gossip, and then they go with negative expectations and prophecies. It will soon fail, don't worry. And then you go beyond it, and then they come with direct confrontation and persecution, and then you still go. When everything is done and dusted and it doesn't work, then they come to you and say, I celebrate you. I celebrate you. Through the greatness, it's not English language that takes men there. It is something in God called power. He said in Exodus 3:20, I will strike the whole of Egypt with my signs and with my wonder. Then he will let you go. Nothing moves until power is released. That's why he said the gospel is not excellency of speech. He said, when I came unto you declaring the counsel of God, I did not come with excellency of speech. I came with a demonstration of spirit and power. If it is divine agenda, the number one thing is power. If power has not manifested, the compelling force will not be there. They will hear you, they will enjoy your message, they will still go back doing what they are doing. The Bible said when David became mighty in God, he said daily men joined themselves to David until his host became like the host of God. His host, that was a man. His host became like the host of God. Who was David? A boy in a family of 8 that was forgotten. When God came to the family through the prophet, they didn't think he was worthy. They looked at him, they said, no, if God wants to use everybody, it can't be David. David doesn't look like it. Eliab had stature. They had different credentials. David had no credential. He was in the backside of the woods. But when the time came, he was the one God nominated. And when that power came on him, whether he was educated, it was not a factor. Whether he was popular, it was not a factor. Whether he was learned, it was not a factor. Power was the foundation of reality. And when Saul wanted to kill him, David did not run looking for fraternity. He was in a cave called Adullam. And to make things worse, it was not soldiers that came to David. I thought the troop he commanded in the army of Saul will come to support him. They neglected him. He said 400 broken and battered men who were in debt. 400 broken and battered men who were in debt. These were the kind of men that came to David. But when David saw them, he knew what made him. And if I can introduce them to what made me, they will become like me. And a point came, 400 broken and battered men. The Bible said, and Adoni, who was of the Tachomite, one of the first 3 in rank, he said he took a spear and he slew 800 men. How can a broken and battered man take such feat? Something had entered him. Something had entered him. Because the power we talk about is not psychology. The power we talk about is not philosophy. The power we talk about is not sociology. It's the power of God. Something came upon him. He said, Eleazar, the son of Dodo, once upon a time, Israel was fighting to defend the land. And he said the whole army of Israel ran, but he stood his ground. A point came, one of them was stronger than an army. So you now discover when power comes, number is not consequential. It is stature that matters. The men standing, what do they carry? I'm not talking about a system where people, let me leave that one. When I talk the subject of power, I talk it passionately because I did religious Christianity for a long time. Until in 5 years, 6 people died in my house. 5 years. And now discover power is not English language. I discover power is not title. It's better not to have a title and have power than to have titles without power. The demon will make a mess. 6 people died in 5 years. What was going on? I realized there was something lacking. The day power came, the gate was shut. You look at yourself, you say, I don't look like. Forget it. Look alike is not power. It's not power. Yahweh. Hey. Hey. The disciples were with Jesus for 3.5 years. Jesus trained them. They knew how to lay hands. They knew how to lay legs. But it was different from power. It's not how hands are laid. It's not how legs are laid. It is what backs the action that matters. And the point came when they were threatened. They knew they needed power. So they prayed for empowerment. That's what will change this world. Forget this complex English language talking. Forget this packaging without power. I'm not against excellence. Come on, take a look at me. But without power, you are naked. No matter how well arrayed you are, without power, you are naked. It may not be obvious to men, but in the spirit, it's very obvious. Every spirit we know. Because when you speak in the spirit realm, the first thing they say is, by whose authority? By whose authority? Who told you you can do what you are doing by talking? How dare you? Do you know the realm you are talking to? This is a realm of thrones. This is a realm of princes. This is a realm of dominion. This is a realm of power. Who told you you can read a textbook and come to give command here? By whose authority have you come? There must be something backing you up. And until you can touch that realm, you can shake nothing on ground. Job 28 verse 9, he said he put his hand upon the rock. He overturned the mountains by the root. That's power. That's the power that compels. They sent men to arrest Jesus. They came. And Jesus was talking normal. He didn't even know people came. And they went back and said, no man ever speak like that man. There was a power that arrested them. And they went back. They would rather disobey their superiors than dare touch that stranger. They would rather disobey their pastors than dare touch that stranger. That's the subject we have come to consider. And if you know that this is one of the cardinal ingredients for advancing the kingdom in the last day, then you have to pay attention. Because I want to show you 3 secrets that govern the operation of power. That's what I came to do this evening. If I show it to you, I will sit down here and I will be talking and things will happen. It's a definite. We must understand that Christianity must be practiced. It must be practiced. This is not a fluke that happens once and don't happen the next time. This is reality that can be replicated over and over and over again if you know how to tap into it. Yahweh, Yahweh.